Welcome to Scaling Legends, the podcast where growth-minded construction leaders unlock the systems and strategies behind building generational companies. This is Deep Dive, the segment where we uncover how real founders are scaling from 5 million to 50 million and beyond, without losing control of quality, culture, or cash flow. Today's episode is brought to you by smartbusinessautomator.com, the operations engine behind modern construction firms that want to scale smarter, not harder. If you're dealing with project delays, chaotic scheduling, dropped balls on follow-ups, or manual bottlenecks, Smart Business Automator helps you automate back-office workflows and change order follow-ups, streamline subcontractor coordination and client communication, track bids, leads, and financials in one clean dashboard. Free up your time to focus on building, hiring, and closing bigger deals. Because in construction, scale without systems is just stress. Now, let's deep dive.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is episode 5. Fluor Corporation, from garage startup to $16 billion empire. What if I told you that one of America's largest construction companies started with a Swiss immigrant who spoke only one English word, had just $100 to his name, and began his empire in a California garage? Today, we're diving into the incredible 113-year journey of Fluor Corporation, a story that proves the American dream is alive and well, especially in the construction industry. We're going to explore the foundational principles, those pivotal moments, and the strategic decisions that really shaped Fluor's monumental journey. We'll try and reveal how a company born from such, humble origins could reach such immense scale and enduring influence.
It really is an extraordinary narrative, isn't it? I mean, it almost defies belief when you look at the sheer scale of Fluor Corporation today, tracing its roots back to those incredibly humble beginnings, like you said, in a garage. It makes this deep dive so much more than just a history lesson about a company. It's like a living, breathing blueprint for long-term success. It shows incredible resilience, an almost uncanny ability to adapt, and foresight that spanned, more than a century. Through huge economic shifts, tech breakthroughs, massive global changes, this story really highlights how starting small, with a clear vision and solid core principles, can actually lead to a monumental and lasting impact. It offers real actionable insights for anyone looking to build something great, really, no matter where they're starting from.
That's a powerful way to frame it. And yeah, the very beginning of that story is, frankly, almost unbelievable. It's so simple, yet so audacious. Let's really unpack those very first steps. The man at the heart of it all was Simon Fluor Sr., born in Switzerland back in 1867. Imagine he's just 21 years old, makes this huge, life-altering decision to emigrate to America in 1888. Thankfully, he wasn't completely alone. He joined his 2 older brothers who'd already settled in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Now, here's where the audacity really kicks in. Just 2 years later, 1890, these 3 brothers decide to pool their pretty meager resources, and they launched a saw and paper mill, which was a pretty big industrial undertaking for the time. They called it Rudolph Fluor and Brother, and Simon Fluor Sr.'s personal contribution. His stake in this bold new venture, a mere $100. That was literally everything he had, every single penny he possessed, put right on the line.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial to grasp the weight of that $100 back in 1890. It sounds like nothing to us today, right? But it would have been a huge portion, maybe even all, of a young immigrant's life savings. This wasn't pocket change. It was a profound act of commitment, a really personal bet on his future and the future of his new country. Think about the economy back then, late 19th century America. Industrialization was booming, sure, but getting capital, much harder than today. Starting a mill, even a small one, took serious grit and, immense faith. This initial risk, this willingness to put everything on the line, it perfectly captures a core insight for you, the listener. Every empire, every really significant project, it starts with someone willing to risk it all, even if that all is just $100. It tells you so much about the mindset of an immigrant entrepreneur, doesn't it? That resilience born from hardship, the incredible resourcefulness you need to build from scratch with almost nothing, and that relentless, almost primal drive to create something lasting out of, nothing. This foundational experience, this sort of baptism by fire in Wisconsin, it almost certainly instilled core values in Fluor Sr. values, like, careful financial management, sheer determination, and an unwavering commitment to the venture, things that would guide all his future, much, much larger endeavors.
So after this initial, pretty risky venture up in Wisconsin, John Fluor's journey takes another big turn. In 1912, apparently for health reasons, he makes the tough call to relocate to Santa Ana, California. And that meant leaving the family business with his brothers behind. It's easy to just skip over the courage that takes starting over again. But even facing health issues, moving to a completely new state, he didn't hesitate. He immediately established the Fluor Construction Company, quite literally out of his garage. Not some huge industrial complex, but another humble beginning. So what made this new venture, this garage startup in sunny California, what made it different right from the start? How did it break through when so many others would have failed? The sources say he came armed with innovative methods, a commitment to really precise work, and he built his reputation quickly. But beyond just that, there were specific things that set him apart. A clear focus on precision and quality over just making quick profits. A definite willingness to take calculated risks. And a really sharp recognition of emerging market opportunities.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here is how these, seemingly simple principles became the absolute bedrock of Fluor's early and sustained success. Think about the construction industry in California back in 1912. It was still pretty nascent. Lots of smaller contractors probably chasing quick, maybe low-quality jobs just to make a fast buck. Fluor's unwavering focus on precision and quality, that was a massive strategic differentiator. It wasn't just about getting a job done, it was about finishing it right, to a really exacting standard. That builds unshakable trust and a strong reputation that pays off for decades. It's invaluable for repeat business and referrals. Clients knew they could count on Fluor for reliable, high-standard work. And when we talk about calculated risks for a garage startup in 1912, we're not talking venture capital here. What might that have looked like? Maybe investing a big chunk of his very limited capital in, say, a cutting-edge concrete mixer for the time. Or a new, more powerful steam-powered saw. Instead of just relying on cheaper, less efficient manual labor or older tools, that's a big upfront cost, right? But maybe it drastically cut project times, allowed for higher quality output, boosting their reputation for efficiency and innovation. Or perhaps it meant taking on a really challenging project for a new client, one that stretched their capabilities, but, if successful, would be a fantastic showcase for their approach. These weren't reckless gambles. They were informed decisions to push the envelope. Plus, his foresight in spotting and jumping on emerging market opportunities, even way back then, that really foreshadowed Fluor's future adaptability. He wasn't just building what was needed then, he was constantly thinking about what would be needed next, laying groundwork. These early principles, they didn't just set a high standard, they really resonated with clients and were absolutely critical to their rapid reputation-driven growth.
And those differentiating factors, that commitment to quality and taking smart risks, they quickly translated into tangible, pretty impressive results. By 1924, so just 12 years after that garage startup in Santa Ana, the Fluor Construction Company hit annual revenues of $100,000. Now, to put that in perspective for us today, that's roughly $1.56 million adjusting for inflation. Just think about that exponential growth from that tiny $100 personal investment way back in Wisconsin. And it wasn't just revenue. The company had grown to a staff of 100 employees. That's a substantial workforce for that era, showing significant operational scale. It was also around this time, 1924, that John Fluor, clearly thinking about the future and how to scale, started delegating most of the day-to-day operations to his sons, Peter and Simon Fluor. This wasn't just, handing over the reins. It was a really crucial strategic move for scaling up. It signaled a shift towards a more corporate, enduring structure, ensuring that generational continuity. And in fact, the company formally incorporated that very same year, 1924, with a pretty substantial $100,000 capital investment. That really marked its transformation into a more mature, structured business entity.
Right. This period perfectly illustrates a critical lesson for entrepreneurs, doesn't it? Whether you're starting in a garage or, a modern co-working space, start small, absolutely, but think big. The numbers alone are just staggering. Fluor grew 1,000 times in revenue in just 12 years from that 1912 California venture. 1,000 times. Think about what that means, managing that kind of rapid, sustained growth, especially back then. No modern communication tools, no fancy project management software, no global logistics networks like we have today. That level of expansion required immense organizational skill, constant innovation, and a really deep, almost intuitive grasp of where the market was going, and the delegation to his sons. That wasn't just about sharing the workload. It was a profound strategic move. It ensured the business to scale beyond being totally reliant on the founder's personal oversight. It guaranteed generational continuity, embedding the core values while bringing in fresh perspectives and energy to handle the growing complexity. If you connect this to the bigger picture of early 20th century American industry, this kind of sustained exponential growth was truly exceptional. Lots of companies started and fizzled out quickly. But Fluor's foundation, those principles, smart family involvement, long-term vision, allowed them to not just survive, but really thrive and build something lasting in a rapidly industrializing America.
And this incredible growth was also fueled by a really crucial strategic pivot that John Fluor made even earlier. It shows remarkable foresight way back in 1921. He had this almost uncanny ability to recognize that the emerging California petroleum industry held enormous, basically untapped potential. This wasn't just a fleeting thought. It sounds like a deep, well-researched understanding of a market that was just about to explode. And his response was immediate, very proactive. He began to deliberately tailor his engineering and construction work specifically to meet the unique and increasingly complex demands of this new field. This was a proactive move. He wasn't just reacting to trends that were already happening. He was anticipating where the whole industry was headed and positioning his company quite brilliantly to lead the way.
Exactly. This is a textbook example of a crucial business strategy insight, isn't it? The most successful companies, they don't just follow trends, they anticipate them. They position themselves early. Now, entering an unproven or rapidly expanding market, that carries inherent risks, no doubt about it. You're committing significant resources to something that isn't fully established yet. That requires a deep understanding of those early market dynamics and, frankly, the guts to invest before everyone else piles in. But the reward for getting in early, as Fluor clearly demonstrated, is a significant, often insurmountable competitive advantage. Think about what anticipating trends might have meant for John Fluor in the 1920s. He didn't have market research reports or big data analytics, right? He probably observed the explosion of car ownership, the increasing demand for gasoline, the rapid spread of oil fields across California. He was there. He might have seen the early kind of rudimentary infrastructure being built and realized, hey, they're going to need highly specialized, precision-engineered facilities to handle this stuff safely and efficiently. So, as the oil industry boomed, Fluor was already there. They had the expertise, the established relationships, a growing reputation perfectly tailored to that sector's specific, complex needs. That allowed them to become basically indispensable. Consider the specific demands back then. Precise, large-scale stuff like refineries and pipelines, specialized equipment for volatile substances, complex safety protocols that were still being figured out. Fluor's ability to adapt and specialize in these areas really set them apart from the general contractors. It let them become foundational as the industry grew like crazy. Their foresight basically allowed them to surf the wave of the future instead of scrambling to catch up after it had already passed.
And that foresight, combined with their growing expertise in industrial construction, it really culminated in what I call Fluor's true reputation builder project. Fast forward to 1946. This was a huge moment for the company. They landed a contract for a grassroots refinery in Montana. Now, for those of us not deep in industrial construction, a grassroots refinery isn't just an expansion or a small upgrade. It means building an entirely new facility from scratch on basically empty land. That means everything: initial design, site prep, building complex processing units, storage tanks, utility systems. It's a massive, intricate job. And this single project, it did something really profound for Fluor. It cemented their reputation as a top-tier refinery engineering firm. It wasn't just another job, it became their calling card. Undeniable, tangible proof that they could handle incredibly complex, large-scale industrial projects with precision and efficiency. And it immediately paid off big time. It led directly to a follow-on assignment: expanding the massive Aramco facilities, a client whose needs were only getting bigger. This success then snowballed into what you can only really describe as a massive breakthrough for Fluor. They received their largest contract to date, an Aramco project valued at over $5 billion. Just imagine that leap. The scope was immense. Engineering, procurement, project, and construction management assistance for a huge part of a gas gathering, treatment, and transmission program over in Saudi Arabia. There's a whole new level. Global enterprise, massive scale.
It's truly hard to overstate the importance of these calling card projects in a company's growth story. One significant success, especially one as technically demanding as building an entire refinery from the ground up, it can fundamentally change your company's standing. It opens doors to opportunities that are just exponentially larger. That Montana project wasn't just a job, it was a powerful demonstration of their capabilities. It was like a stamp of approval, validating all those earlier commitments to precision, innovation, and taking those calculated risks. And then, the leap in scale from a domestic refinery to a multi-billion-dollar international project in Saudi Arabia. It's frankly astounding. The source puts it perfectly with that scale perspective, which really helps grasp the magnitude. From a $100 garage startup to a $5 billion contract, that's 50 million times growth. Just let that sink in for a moment. 50 million times. And this wasn't just about building something physically large. It involved navigating incredibly complex international logistics, cultural nuances, geopolitical factors, and managing intricate projects on a global scale, especially back then, mid-20th century, without today's instant communication and easy travel. When you think about a gas gathering, treatment, and transmission program of that size, it's not just digging trenches and laying pipes, right? It involves safely pulling natural gas from huge fields, separating out impurities, processing it to meet specific standards, and then building extensive pipeline networks and pumping stations to move it across enormous distances, often through really challenging desert terrain and harsh climates. Every single step demands immense precision, cutting-edge engineering, and just unparalleled logistical skill. And this raises that important question, right? The one that gets to the heart of their success. How does a company built on quality and precision at a smaller, more manageable scale, how do you maintain that standard, those core values, when you're operating at such immense, truly global proportions? It really speaks to a deeply ingrained culture of excellence and a robust operational framework that must have evolved incredibly rapidly.
That's a powerful point about maintaining standards. So as Fluor grew exponentially, especially with that huge $5 billion Aramco contract, how did they scale that culture of precision and quality? How did they avoid diluting it across these vast global operations? And I guess part of that answer involved continuous evolution and strategic diversification, right? In the late 1960s, Fluor embarked on this crucial period of strategic diversification. They started branching out into new areas, moving beyond their traditional oil and gas refining work. They got into oil drilling, coal mining, other raw materials. And these weren't just small experiments. These were significant, deliberate strategic moves to broaden their industrial footprint. Then, a truly transformative corporate move happened in 1977, the acquisition of Daniel International Corporation. This acquisition was so significant, it's often cited as the moment that created the modern Fluor Corporation as we know it today. It fundamentally reshaped their capabilities and market reach.
You've definitely hit on a critical aspect of long-term corporate survival there. This diversification strategy, it highlights a key lesson for any business, really, regardless of size. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversification protects you against those inevitable market downturns that can just cripple a company focused on only one industry. The strategic thinking behind expanding into related but distinct sectors like oil drilling and coal mining, it was a smart hedge against the cyclical nature of any single industry. It created multiple revenue streams and inherently spread their risk across different markets. And the acquisition of Daniel International in '77. Even more impactful, Daniel brought different expertise, particularly in construction for power plants, pulp, and paper industries. They had distinct client bases and significantly expanded Fluor's geographic reach, especially within the U.S. So this wasn't just about adding more services, it was about integrating entirely new capabilities and market access. What's fascinating here is how proactive diversification, both through growing into new sectors organically and through smart acquisitions, can act as this powerful shield against future economic shocks. They were literally building resilience right into their business model, strengthening their foundation before the next big crisis even hit. And that foresight proved invaluable pretty soon after.
And yeah, it's a good thing they did build that resilience, because a significant crisis was definitely on the horizon, one that would test their adaptability right to its core. We move into what we can call the crisis and recovery of the 1980s. This was just a brutal period for many industries. A global recession hit the oil and gas sector particularly hard, exactly the industry Fluor had ridden to such great heights. And compounding Fluor's challenges were significant losses coming from their own mining operations, which had apparently struggled with fluctuating commodity prices and operational issues. The immediate consequences were severe. The company had to go through painful restructuring, deep operational cuts, and they had to implement widespread layoffs, affecting thousands of employees. That's never easy. But what's truly remarkable here is Fluor's decisive response. Instead of just trying to, ride out the storm, clinging desperately to what wasn't working, they made tough strategic decisions that, frankly, many companies would probably shy away from. They systematically sold off their struggling oil operations, the very foundation of their massive growth. And crucially, they aggressively broadened their construction work into an even wider range of services and industries, really leveraging those new capabilities brought in by Daniel International.
This period is such a powerful, maybe even brutal, crisis management lesson. When your main market crashes, successful companies pivot quickly, and they cut what's not working. These were undoubtedly agonizing decisions. Selling off entire business units, letting go of dedicated employees, that's never easy for any leadership team. But they were absolutely necessary for the long-term survival and eventual comeback of the company. Fluor's ability to pivot quickly, to clearly see which segments were failing and divest from them, while simultaneously aggressively diversifying into new areas. That's a hallmark of truly resilient companies. It's about being agile enough to adapt to fundamentally changed market conditions, rather than clinging to a dying model out of, sentimentality or just inertia. If we connect this to the bigger picture of business cycles, Fluor's response in the 80s is a classic textbook example of survival through radical yet strategic adaptation. They didn't just weather the storm, they fundamentally re-architected their entire foundation, shedding dead weight and building new muscles. That really set them up for the next wave of growth. This willingness to make those hard choices in a downturn was key.
And that re-architecture, forged in the fire of the 1980s crisis, really did set the stage for Fluor's modern transformation, starting in the 1990s and continuing right on into the new millennium. This decade saw the company keep evolving, introducing entirely new services that leveraged their core skills in new ways, like equipment rentals and staffing for large projects. But maybe the most significant shift in their revenue streams came from a really unexpected, highly specialized, and incredibly complex area: nuclear waste cleanup projects and other highly specialized environmental work. This became a substantial, high-value part of Fluor's business. It signaled a clear strategic move into complex, high-value problem-solving for governments and industries. So what does this all mean for their long-term vision? I guess it means understanding that the very definition of their business is constant reinvention.
Precisely. This really highlights our innovation insight. Successful companies don't just adapt to change. They constantly reinvent themselves to meet evolving market needs, often anticipating problems before they even become mainstream. These new services, equipment rentals, specialized staffing, they allowed Fluor to offer more comprehensive, integrated solutions to their clients, often integrating seamlessly with their core construction and engineering work, basically making them a one-stop shop for huge projects. But yeah, the move into nuclear waste cleanup and other environmental projects, that truly showcased their adaptability and their willingness to tackle these highly specialized, technically demanding challenges. I mean, think about what nuclear waste cleanup involves. It's not just building a containment facility. It's safely decommissioning reactors, handling incredibly hazardous materials, developing long-term storage solutions, navigating unbelievably stringent regulatory and safety rules. These aren't just construction jobs. They require deep scientific expertise, advanced engineering, and project management that can span decades. By entering these highly specialized fields, Fluor didn't just diversify its client base and revenue streams again. It strategically positioned itself to address some of the most critical and complex environmental challenges facing the world, moving way beyond traditional heavy construction into vital national infrastructure and ecological cleanup. It really underscores their ability to spot complex, emerging problems and develop custom solutions for them.
Bringing the story right up to the present, Fluor's strategic growth and global expansion just kept going, building on those lessons of diversification and adaptation. In December 2015, they made another major move, showing their ongoing commitment to global presence and expanding their capabilities. They announced the acquisition of the Dutch industrial services company Stork in a, $755 million stock purchase. And this was explicitly called out as a continuation of their global expansion strategy, solidifying their footprint and capabilities across continents, particularly in things like maintenance, modifications, and asset integrity services for oil and gas, chemicals, and other industrial sectors. And if we look at a snapshot of today's Fluor Corporation using, say, 2024 and 2022 data, the numbers are just staggering, a real testament to their enduring success. They're boasting revenue of $16.3 billion as of 2024. They employ nearly 27,000 people worldwide. And they were ranked #259 on the Fortune 500 list back in 2022. Their global presence is huge, offices in 25 countries. They're truly a multinational powerhouse. As for what they actually do now, it's this vast, intricate web of services. Fluor provides engineering, procurement, construction, maintenance, project management across an incredibly diverse range of sectors. So they design and build everything from complex power plants and intricate petrochemical factories to vital mining facilities, massive roads and bridges, secure government buildings, state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities, you name it. Just look at some of their major projects, historical and current, to get a sense of their impact. The iconic Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, facilities for the Manhattan Project during World War II, critical Iraq War reconstruction efforts, vital Hurricane Katrina recovery work, and more recently, that massive $1.8 billion Novo Nordisk diabetes facility in North Carolina shows their role in modern pharmaceutical manufacturing, too.
It's truly remarkable, isn't it? To consider the sheer scale and diversity of Fluor's operations today, and then trace it all the way back to that humble garage startup with just $100, and the strategic importance of global acquisitions like Stork. You just can't overstate that in today's interconnected world. They're absolutely essential for maintaining a competitive edge, expanding market share into new regions, integrating new capabilities and tech expertise. It's a constantly evolving global economy, and looking at the breadth of Fluor's impact through that really impressive list of major projects. Wow. From pioneering energy infrastructure like the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, which was just a monumental feat of engineering, to critical national defense projects like the Manhattan Project facilities, and even addressing modern healthcare needs with that state-of-the-art Novo Nordisk facility, it profoundly demonstrates just how integral they've been in shaping modern infrastructure and addressing critical societal needs all around the world for over a century. Which brings us back to that important question, right?
How does a company maintain its core values, its fundamental identity, its commitment to quality and precision, across such vast growth, relentless diversification, and immense global expansion? It really is a profound testament to the enduring power and timelessness of those founding principles that Simon Fluor Sr. established over 113 years ago.
That's a powerful question, and it brings us perfectly to what we can call the Fluor Success Formula 6 core principles that really distill their incredible journey. And I think they provide a direct answer to that question about enduring values. We've seen them in action throughout our deep dive, but let's summarize them as actionable insights for you, our listener. Applicable no matter your field or ambition. First, start with quality. Fluor built their reputation on precision and innovation from day one, right from that garage in Santa Ana. They didn't chase quick profits. They understood that building trust through excellence was the foundation for long-term success.
Absolutely fundamental for any business aiming for longevity. Establishing that unshakable reputation for uncompromising quality. It's the most durable, most cost-effective marketing you can have. It doesn't just ensure client loyalty and repeat business. It attracts new, higher-value opportunities through word of mouth and a proven track record. The work itself becomes your best advertisement.
Second, recognize opportunities early. They saw the petroleum boom coming back in the 1920s, way before many others did. And they proactively positioned themselves to capitalize instead of just reacting when it was already happening.
Yeah, this emphasizes proactive strategic thinking. It's about being a forward thinker, developing that sort of intuitive sense for societal shifts, technological changes, and then having the courage and the resources to actually invest in those emerging areas before they become mainstream and super competitive. It means getting in early, even when the path isn't totally clear.
Third, scale strategically. They used successful projects, like that key Montana refinery, as stepping stones to much bigger, more complex ones, like that multi-billion-dollar Aramco contract. Each success fed the next one.
Right, and this isn't just about growing for growth's sake. It's about making sure each successful project or venture ideally enhances your capabilities, expands your reputation, and opens doors to even larger, more complex work. It's like building a coherent ladder of growth, where each rung supports the next one up, not just a series of disconnected, opportunistic steps.
Fourth, diversify wisely. Fluor systematically expanded into related services and geographic markets. They added oil drilling, coal mining, then made those transformative acquisitions like Daniel International. They didn't just add random businesses, they added strategic complements that made sense together.
Yeah, a crucial risk mitigation strategy.
Right.
By not putting all your eggs in one basket, you build resilience against market downturns in any single sector. It's about creating multiple, interconnected streams of revenue and expertise that can support the whole company through different economic climates and industry challenges. Makes the whole greater than the sum of its parts.
Fifth, survive by adapting. When that brutal 1980s crisis hit, they showed incredible resolve. They pivoted, made the agonizing decision to sell off struggling divisions, and aggressively refocused rather than just, going down with the ship or clinging to past successes.
Adaptability. It's the ultimate key to longevity in a dynamic business world. It requires honest self-assessment, really difficult, sometimes painful decisions, and the willingness to shed operations that just aren't viable anymore, even if they were once core to your business. This is where true corporate resilience is forged, facing adversity with decisive action.
And finally, number 6, think generationally. Simon Fluor Sr. didn't just build a company for himself. He built something that outlasted him, a robust enterprise designed to thrive across decades, even centuries, and it has well over 100 years strong now.
This principle goes way beyond short-term profits and quarterly reports, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's about building a strong, enduring culture, establishing clear succession plans, and instilling values and an organizational structure that can guide the organization far into the future, ensuring its legacy through multiple leadership changes and market shifts.
Okay, so let's unpack these 6 principles with you, our listener, in mind. Because, deep dive knowledge is most valuable when it's actually actionable. If you're a teenager listening to this, maybe the construction industry isn't the first thing you think of for the American dream, right? But Fluor's story proves it's a remarkably viable, rewarding path. The industry offers really clear, tangible paths, from apprentice to skilled tradesperson to entrepreneur. So the lesson for you might be, start learning trades early. Understand not just how to build, but also the basic business fundamentals, project management, budgeting, client relations, and most importantly, think long-term about your career, your contributions. Understand that mastery takes time and dedication.
Absolutely. And for our solo contractors out there, John Fluor's initial success in California holds some really vital, applicable lessons. First, focus intensely on building that unshakable reputation for uncompromising quality work. That is your biggest, most valuable asset. It leads to referrals, repeat business. Second, keep your eyes open, not just on the current job, but for emerging market trends in your specific area. Is it sustainable building? Smart home tech? Specialized renovation niches? Anticipate where demand is headed and proactively get the skills or tools to meet it. Third, make sure you diligently document and strategically promote your successful projects. Not just the pretty finished pictures, but the process, the challenges you overcame, the value you provided. Use good photos, client testimonials, even simple case studies. Fourth, think about strategic partnerships with other trades, maybe even larger firms, before you just leap into major expansion yourself. Collaboration can be a powerful, lower-risk way to grow. And finally, always maintain healthy financial reserves. For those inevitable downturns or unexpected project hiccups, cash flow is absolutely king for solo operators.
And for those of you listening who are maybe aspiring construction moguls, dreaming of building your own multi-billion-dollar empire, well, Fluor's journey from a $100 garage startup to a $16 billion powerhouse took 113 years. It's a profound testament to patience, persistence, and that generational vision. But the principles are undeniably timeless. An unwavering commitment to quality work, strategic thinking that looks decades ahead, a willingness to take calculated risks, and that unshakable commitment to adaptability when markets shift. These aren't just historical footnotes, they're guiding stars for building massive, sustainable success. As we close out this deep dive, it really is remarkable to reflect on Fluor Corporation's incredible trajectory. Simon Fluor Sr. probably never, ever imagined that his $100 garage startup would evolve into a Fortune 500 company worth billions, spanning continents and industries. But he laid the foundation with principles that, remarkably, still seem to drive the company today. Precision, innovation, the courage to pursue big opportunities, and a deep commitment to adaptability. His story challenges us to think beyond just immediate gains, doesn't it? To think about building something of enduring value, something that can weather storms and seize opportunities across generations. So how might Fluor's century-long ability to constantly adapt, to reinvent itself from a humble mill to this global engineering giant, how might that inform your own long-term plans, whether they're personal or professional, in our own ever-changing world? What are the emerging trends you should be paying attention to today?
That enduring power of foundational principles, carried through generations and adapted to totally new realities. It's a powerful reminder that success is often a marathon, not a sprint. It really is about building something of lasting value, understanding that flexibility and foresight are just as crucial as that initial ambition. And as you continue your own pursuit of knowledge and success, just remember that continuous learning and adaptation are truly your greatest assets. Next episode, we'll shift our focus slightly to another titan of the industry. We'll explore how AECOM built its global empire, largely through strategic acquisitions and diverse project delivery methods. We'll see what further lessons their arguably more rapid growth story holds for today's construction entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the incredible story of Fluor Corporation. We really encourage you to reflect on their remarkable journey and consider how these timeless principles might apply to your own endeavors, whatever their scale might be. Until next time, keep exploring.